What's up, guys? My name is TechnoTuner, and we're back again with another deck profile. This week, we're looking at Pure Shaddoll. This deck got some new support in the Battles of Legends set a week or two ago, and is one of the more fun archetypes and fan favorites that most people have enjoyed playing. I wanted to bring it to you guys today as I finally got all my cards in, but I wanted to at least break it down and explain what the cards do. While this deck is massively into fusion summoning, it does allow for certain things through the window lock to being able to blow up special summon monsters, setting up negates, and fuse with your opponent's monsters to get other big monsters out or trigger other effects. Shaddolls usually are based off of flip monsters, but they have one of two effects. One is when they're sent to the graveyard, they have an effect, and the other is when they're flipped, they have another effect. So this deck can be very interesting to deal with, let alone play, as it is a very fun deck nonetheless. Anyways, guys, let's hop right into the main deck, and let's get started. Alright, starting off, we're going to be starting with 3 Shaddoll Squamata. Flip, you can target one monster on the field and destroy it. If this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can send one Shaddoll card from your deck to the graveyard, except Shaddoll Squamata. You can only use one Shaddoll Squamata effect per turn and only once that turn. So, being able to send additional monsters to the graveyard is very helpful, but if you need to set it to on the field, you do have a flip effect to where you can destroy one monster on the field as well. Now, here comes the next debatable part here, where I know a lot of people are going to argue with me on this. Right now, it's just, I'm playing 2 Shaddoll Wendy. The flip effect is you can special summon one Shaddoll monster from your deck in face up or face down defense position, except Shaddoll Wendy. If this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can special summon one Shaddoll monster from your deck in face down defense position, except Shaddoll Wendy. You can only use one Shaddoll Wendy effect per turn and only once that turn. Now, here's the thing. I only play 2 because I don't have an idea of what I should do for the next one. More likely I'm going to sub it out for a Foolish Burial, just cutting it down to 1, which helps out greatly with triggering their effects. But for right now, until I can figure out a more suitable play, 2 is what's better working for my deck. Up next, 2 of the new card, Shaddoll Grista. Flip, you can target one non-rock Shaddoll monster in your graveyard. Apply its effect that activates when it is flipped face up. If this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, except during damage step, you can fusion summon one Shaddoll fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing its materials from your hand, field, and or graveyard. You cannot special summon from the extra deck the turn you activate this effect, except Shaddoll monsters. You can only use 1 Shaddoll Grista once per turn and only once that turn. So, being able to get that extra fusion is really great, but also being able to target a monster in the graveyard that you control, one non-rock Shaddoll monster to be specific, and activates flip effect, can really get you into a lot of good scenarios, such as Shaddoll Wendy to get the special summon, Squamata to get a pop, Beast, for example. For the next one, which we're playing 2 of, you can flip, draw 2 cards, and discard 1. If this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can draw 1 card. You can only use 1 Shaddoll Beast effect per turn, only once that turn. So being able to use 2 Shaddoll to get the draw 2, discard 1 can help as well. Now, as for the other 2 of in the deck, I'm playing 2 Shaddoll Hedgehog. Flip, you can add 1 Shaddoll spell or trap from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can add 1 Shaddoll monster from your deck to your hand, except Shaddoll Hedgehog. You can only use 1 Shaddoll Hedgehog effect per turn and only once that turn. So, once again, great way to get spells and traps on the board. But the other thing is, as well, it is a great way to get Shaddoll monsters from your deck to your hand in addition. Next, for the 1-ofs, we're playing 1 Shaddoll Dragon. Flip, you can target 1 card your opponent controls, return to the hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can target 1 spell or trap on the field, destroy it. You can only use 1 Shaddoll Dragon effect per turn, only once that turn. So, the spell and trap pop is basically what we're utilizing it for. The flip effect can come in very handy in a crunch, but you got to keep your eye out for that monster. Then we're playing the 1 Shaddoll Genius. You can target 1 Shaddoll monster you control. That face-up monster is unaffected by monster effects this turn, except its own, as its flip effect. If this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can target 1 effect monster on the field. Neither player can activate that target's effects on the field this turn. You can only use 1 Shaddoll Genius effect per turn and only once that turn. So basically, a good way to get an effect negation on, in the graveyard, but negate an effect on the field can help a lot as well. Then, of course, we're playing the one Shaddoll Aerial. Flip, you can target one of your banished Shaddoll monsters, special summon it in face up or face down defense position. If this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can target up to 3 cards in the graveyards, banish them. You can only use one Shaddoll Aerial effect per turn and only once that turn. So basically being able to modify your opponent's graveyard by banishing them can really help in the long game, because graveyard shenanigans are really funny and makes it harder for your opponent to really interact. Now, that's all for the actual Shaddoll monsters that I'm playing, but I am playing some support cards that I do like that work very well in the deck, one being Dracotail Phymena. I'm running 3 copies of this because during the main phase, quick effect, you can discard this card, fusion summon dragon or spellcaster fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. If this card is sent to the graveyard as a material for a fusion summon, you can set one Dracotail spell or trap from your deck. You can only use each effect of Dracotail Phymena once per turn. Even though it is a water monster, this gets us into Shaddoll Aqualitis if we're playing that. If not, it is just a great way to go into Winda during your opponent's turn, which can really stop them right off rip. Up next, of course, we're playing 2 Blazing Cartesia the Virtuous. If you control a Fallen of Albaz or it is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. During the main phase, quick effect, you can fusion summon one level 8 or higher fusion monster from your extra deck. Using monsters from your hand or field as material, during the end phase, if a fusion monster was sent to the graveyard this turn, you can add this card from the graveyard to your hand. You can only use each effect of Blazing Cartesia the Virtuous once per turn. Being able to get additional fusions, but as a quick effect, and it's a recurable monster that is a light, can help you get into your constructs a little bit easier. It helps out greatly. Now, as for hand traps, of course, I'm playing the 3 Ash Blossom. Honestly, if you're going for more board breakers this format, I would side this out, run 3 Spellbound or 3 Dark Ruler no more, because you can break your opponent's board, make it harder for them to really interact. But the other option is, as well, is to Ghost Spell. I'm also running that nonetheless. If I had the extra Charmy Follows, I would probably cut the Ash for that, so I can get extra card draw as well. Ghost Spell helps when you're dealing with graveyard shenanigans and banishment, so that can help as well. But that's all the monsters that I'm really running in the main deck for now. This deck will more than likely change as more stuff comes out, but this is the version I'm playing currently, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. Anyways, let's go ahead and hop right into the spells and traps of the deck, and I'll go over a little bit more on those. So, on to our spells. We're playing 3 Lev Shaddoll Fusion. This is basically our Gem Knight Fusion, not our Gem Knight Fusion, but our Brilliant Fusion of the deck. When this card is activated, send one fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. You contribute 1 fusion monster, special summon one Shaddoll Fusion monster with different attribute from your extra deck. This is treated as a fusion summon, but its attack becomes 0. You can only use each effect of Lev Shaddoll Fusion once per turn. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck the turn you activate either of these cards' effects except Shaddoll monsters. While this card is very helpful, it is a great addition to the deck, and I'm glad they printed it in Battles of Legend because it enabled the deck so much more to do. Up next, of course, we're playing 3 Void Unleashing. Reveal 1 Shaddoll card in your hand, add 2 Shaddoll cards from your deck to your hand, each with a different type, monster, spell, or trap from the revealed card and from each other. Then discard 1 card. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 Infernoid monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. You can only use each effect of Void Unleashing once per turn. So basically being able to get 2 Shaddoll cards to hand, which could be a spell and a monster or a trap, can really help set up your board and get you extra pieces that you may need. It's also very helpful because if you're playing the Infernoid package, it can let you send one or add an Infernoid monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand to start your plays there as well. Up next, of course, I am playing the 2 El Shaddoll Fusion. Fusion summon 1 Shaddoll Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. You can only activate 1 El Shaddoll Fusion per turn. Basically a quick play fusion for Shaddolls. It's been the main base fusion for a lot of the Shaddoll combo for a very long time, but it's still a really good card. As for the regular Shaddoll Fusion, the one that is infamous for most games, for this deck in all honesty, Shaddoll Fusion, fusion summon 1 Shaddoll Fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. If your opponent controls a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck, you can also use monsters in your deck as fusion material. You can only activate one Shaddoll fusion per turn. This card is really great, especially when it comes to going second and getting additional board breakers like Construct and all others, but it is very helpful as well if you're going into an established board. Speaking of established boards, how are we going to break them? Well, we're playing 3 Super Poly. Discard 1 card, fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from either field. Neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. So this makes it a little bit harder for your opponent to really interact, but you get to fuse with monsters on either side of the board, so you can use your Shaddoll monster plus your opponent's monsters if you really need to go into one of your fusions. This can help break boards, but also help establish your own. Then, of course, for the last 2 spells, I'm playing 1 Called by the Grave in case of hand traps or anything like that, but I'm also playing 1 Triple Tactics Thrust because it gives me my Shaddoll Fusion, my Void Unleashing, or one of the traps. But basically, for Triple Tactics Thrust, if your opponent has activated a monster effect during this turn, set 1 normal spell or trap directly from your deck, except Triple Tactics Thrust. Or if your opponent controls a monster, you can add it to your hand instead. That set card cannot be activated this turn. You can only activate 1 Triple Tactics Thrust per turn. So this is very helpful in getting your combo pieces as you need to hand if you activate in the correct order. Now, onto the traps. We're playing 1 Shaddoll Schism. During the main phase, you can fusion summon 1 Shaddoll fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from your field or graveyard, but it cannot attack directly. Then you can send to the graveyard 1 monster that your opponent controls with the same attribute as that fusion summon monster. You can only use this effect of Shaddoll Schism once per turn. So basically, being able to fusion summon during your opponent's turn by banishing materials from the field or graveyard can really help, especially when you're trying to set up more of a board breaking capability, but also gets you into window lock a little bit easier. Next, of course, we're playing the 1 Shaddoll Incarnation. Target 1 Shaddoll monster in your graveyard, special summon it in face up or face down defense position. You can banish this card and 1 Shaddoll card from your graveyard, then activate 1 of these effects. Change 1 face down monster you control to face up defense position. Change 1 face up monster you control to face down defense position. You can only use 1 Shaddoll Incarnation effect per turn and only once that turn. So this is a great way to get basically any of your Shaddoll monsters back in the graveyard, back onto the board, but also a great way to start your flip effects if you need them. And then, of course, I'm following it up with 3 Infinite Impermanents, as Infinite Impermanence is a really good hand trap this format because it is a great way to get some effect negation on board to slow your opponent down when you need to. But that is all the spells and traps that I'm really running in the deck. I'm sorry for the glare. The lighting is really bad. I'm sorry about that. But do note that this deck is still very fun, even given without the horrible lighting in my setup. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for the main deck. Let's hop right into our extra deck. All right, for the extra deck, we're going to start off with 1 Infernoid Evil. 2 Infernoid monsters. If this card is fusion summoned, you can banish 1 Infernoid monster from your graveyard. Send Infernoid monsters with different names from your deck to the graveyard equal to the banished monster's level. If this card is sent to the graveyard or banished, you can add 1 Void spell or trap from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of Infernoid Evil once per turn. So it's just a great monster to tribute off for the effects. It's also one of those monsters that you're going to be sending with the new spells. Just being able to get you into your Void Apocalypse, or not Void Apocalypse, but your the Void spell to get you into your further plays. Then, of course, we're playing 2 El Shaddoll Winda. 1 Shaddoll monster plus 1 Dark monster. Must first be fusion summoned, cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. Each player can only special summon monsters once per turn while this card is face up on the field. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Shaddoll spell or trap in your graveyard, add it to your hand. So basically being able to get your summon locks on board pretty fast can really stop the game as a whole. Next, of course, we're playing 2 El Shaddoll App Cologne. 2 Shaddoll monsters with different attributes. Must first be fusion summoned, cannot be destroyed by battle. You can only use each of the following effects of El Shaddoll App Cologne once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can target 1 face-up card on the field, negates effects. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Shaddoll card from your deck or graveyard to your hand, then discard 1 card. Once again, great way to stall out for battle, but it also offers up a negate and a way to get your Shaddoll cards from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and then get an additional trigger by discarding 1 of them, if it's a monster. As for a newer card that we're playing 2 of, which is Shaddoll Wendikuru. Kuruhu. One Shaddoll monster plus one wind monster. Must first be fusion summoned. Quick effect, you can change any number of face down monsters on the field to face up defense position. Then you can count the number of flip monsters among them and change up to that many face up monsters on the field, except those flip monsters to face down defense position. You can only use this effect of Shaddoll Wendikuru once per turn. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Shaddoll card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. So a great way to get recursion, but it's also a great way to book a moon your opponent's board if you need to while triggering your own Shaddoll effects. Then of course we're next playing the 2 El Shaddoll construct, the OG boss of this deck. One Shaddoll monster plus one light monster must first be fusion summoned. If this card is special summoned, you can send one Shaddoll card from your deck to the graveyard. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles a special summon monster, destroy that monster. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Shaddoll, spell or trap in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Basically giving you another capability to board break, but also start your combo off by sending cards to the graveyard as well. We're also playing one El Shaddoll Grista. One Shaddoll monster plus one fire monster must first be fusion summoned during either player's turn when your opponent would special summon a monster while you have a Shaddoll card in your hand. You can negate this summon, and if you do, destroy that monster, then send one Shaddoll card from your hand to the graveyard. You can only use this effect of El Shaddoll Grista once per turn. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Shaddoll spell or trap card in your graveyard, add to your hand. But basically, Grista is our summon negate, which can really help us in a tight pinch as well. Up next, I'm playing 2 El Shaddoll Shekanaga. One Shaddoll monster plus one earth monster must first be fusion summoned during either player's turn when a special summon monster activates its effect. While you have a Shaddoll card in your hand, you can negate the activation. If you do, destroy that monster. Then send one Shaddoll card from your hand to the graveyard. You can only use this effect of El Shaddoll Shekanaga once per turn. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Shaddoll spell or trap card in your graveyard, add to your hand. So basically another effect negation, but it's also very helpful nonetheless, as it is a 3k defender and a 2600 attacker. As for the one non-Shaddoll card outside of the Infernoids, I'm playing one Grangwignol, the Dusk Dragon, one Blazing Cartesia, the Virtuous, and one Light or Dark monster. This card's fusion summon, you can send one level 6 or higher light or dark monster from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard. If this card is special summoned by your opponent's, if a monster is special summoned by your opponent's activated monster effect, except during damage step, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard, special summon one Dogmatica monster from your deck or one Despia monster from your extra deck. You can only use each effect of Grangwignol, the Dusk Dragon, once per turn. This is just a very situational card in which I use from time to time to just set up a Shaddoll monster in the graveyard so I can use El Shaddoll Mesharcher. I probably butchered that name, but it's one Shaddoll monster plus one dark monster plus one earth monster. Must be fusion summoned, unaffected by your opponent's activate spell and trap effects, and the activate effects of your opponent's monsters, whose original level or ranks are lower than this card's level. Once per turn, you can pay 800 life points, add one Shaddoll card or void spell and trap from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Shaddoll monster from your graveyard. This card is basically the new boss, or one of the new bosses, of the Shaddoll archetype. Being able to get you those spells and traps, but also make it a tower of sorts for monsters that are basically smaller in level or rank than its level, can really help out in getting your board a little bit more, or making it a little bit harder to deal with, but it also offers up so much more in capability for you to play later on. Now, if you're looking to further improve this deck, I would probably cut the Grangwignol and one of the Shaddoll Wendikurus or one of the App Clones and fit in the Shaddoll Link 2, which is a possibility, or one Cross Sheet. This would give you the further capability to get monsters back on the board, continue your plays, so on and so forth. As this deck is really fun to play, I try to stick with the more fusion-based line in which I can heavily use the Shaddolls to maximize their fusion capabilities. While there are some other things I would cut or change, Grangwignol is a perfect example, where you can run El Shaddoll Wendigo, or the water one. El Shaddoll Wendigo is one Shaddoll monster plus one wind monster, must first be fusion summoned. During either player's turn, you can target one monster you control. This turn, it cannot be destroyed by battle with an opponent's special summon monster. You can only use this effect of El Shaddoll Wendigo once per turn. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Shaddoll spell or trap card in your graveyard, add to your hand. This is currently on my side for the time being, but there are other cards that you can use as well, such as, I think it's called Shaddoll Analytis. Basically, it's the Shaddoll monster plus a water monster. It's a really good card nonetheless, would fit very well for replacing Gringwignall if you're looking for that line as well, to give you further capability for more board breaking capabilities. Now, what is the one thing that I would say about this extra deck? Please feel free to edit however you see fit to best fit your playstyle and your fit for locals. This deck is still a lot of fun, nonetheless, and I greatly encourage those people that like playing Shaddolls to try it out. Anyways, let's hop into the last part where I'm going to go over a little bit about the deck, about its pros and cons, so we can discuss this a little bit more. Alright, so what's the pros and cons of this deck? Pros, you have a lot of good capability for board breaking and setting up locks through Winda and other things. This deck is very malleable, has a lot of good capability with Super Poly to basically utilize your opponent's monsters against them. If you're going against a very fun or casual deck, you still have a lot of options here alone within this deck to further interact. What's the cons? It is kind of slow. You do have to worry about the amount of Shaddolls in your hand and the amount of cards you're using, because one draw and lock, or basically anything that hits graveyard, can hurt you pretty badly. Hand traps can really hurt this deck, it is true, but that's for most basic decks anyways. If I were to put this in a power rating, I would put it below Satellar Knight from the Battles of Legends set, but it is still one of those fun decks that I would keep an eye out for, especially in Genesis, where Genesis can be very valuable for this deck. You just don't get the window lock. Shaddoll unto itself is very powerful as a whole. You just have to know how to utilize your fusions and your key fusion points. Being able to super poly an opponent's monster during the right time can really change the match of the game. As this deck can grow and is very malleable, you can mix it with other things. Perfect example, one of my friends mixed it with Infernoid, another one mixed it with Invoked, another one mixed it with Branded. There's a lot of good capabilities in which you can further build on this deck as a baseline and further fit it to your own playstyle. Shaddoll is going to be one of those fan favorite decks, and it's more likely going to get more support as time goes on. Will we see it hit meta or hit a regional? Honestly, Infernoid I feel like is a silent sleeper rogue sort of deck for this format. It takes a very good pilot to know what they're doing and how to operate and go against most of the decks in the meta right now, but this deck is still a lot of fun to play nonetheless. Anyways, guys, that's all I really have for this video. I hope you enjoyed today's deck profile. If you did, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.